Okay, so today we'll start in Virasana. That means knees come to touch, feet open, and you either sit on the heels or you take your yoga block at height 1 or height 2 in between your ankles so that you can sit down. Now, if this is not accessible for your knees, you certainly can sit in crisscross legs. That's fine as well. And then take your hands to the kneecaps and gently pull the kneecaps towards your heart so you'll feel the flesh of the quad release. Let the sits bones be heavy in the prop. Arms take any shape, and go ahead and close down the eyes for the first few moments. Let the belly be soft. And internally, just think about taking the root of your heart and balancing it over the hips. And then begin to cultivate the breath. And as you're cultivating the breath, drop your full attention down into the pelvic bowl, noticing the hips right and left, the pubic bone at the front wall, and the sacrum at the back wall. And then notice if there is a tendency to shift the weight from side to side or front to back. And internally, consider, do I need to make any adjustments so that my pelvic floor is parallel to the prop and parallel to the earth? For me, that means just a little bit of muscular support in the abdominals so that my sits bones will release towards the connectors of the hamstrings. Put another way, can you release your tail feathers towards the earth? We're here for about 1 more minute. As you tease out the breath, considering this region of the hips, the second chakra, the seat of our creative energy, the seat of our emotional body, the seat of the feminine mystique, the Shakti energy. And let's use the breath and the postures today to connect more intimately with this center. Our creative energy, our emotional body, what is inherently feminine in attitude, the Shakti energy. Take the biggest breath of your moment, hold on full, then sip, sip, sip in more energy and air, and sigh it out. Another big breath in all the way to full. Fill up the belly, fill up the ribs, fill up the lungs, hold on full, and then sip, sip, sip in a little bit more. And sigh it out. And do that once more. Coming onto hands and knees, you can set your block or your prop out to the side. Beginning with cat and cow, for today, curl through the toes and then just step the knees back perhaps a little bit further, just maybe 2 inches further away from the heart than you might normally. Curl through the toes as you lift the tail feathers, push through the floor, big arc in the spine. Untuck the toes, press through the tops of the feet. Let that initiate the pelvic moving towards the heart, rounding through the spine and tucking the chin. Curl through the toes, big breath in, the belly drops, the shoulder blades draw down the spine, the sits bones spread wide. Tops of the feet press through the floor, round and reverse. Option to do this on fingertips, and then find your rhythm. Really exaggerate the movement here. Saddle pose, come to neutral spine. Untuck the toes, spread the knees wide as the sticky mat, and start to settle down into the heels here. Now you certainly can curl through the toes if that's too bold of a move for the knees. Walk down onto the forearms and continue to push through the forearms so we lift the heart out of the hips. And you might wag your tail feathers a bit here just to shift the weight deeper into the heels, find a little more comfort in the knees. Chin is parallel with the collarbone. And now start to recruit the abdominals just enough so that when you breathe, you feel like the back body is expanding, as if the rib cage could spread wide as you inhale, and then the rib cage softens as we exhale. Push enough through the floor that the shoulders roll out of the ears. And I'm pressing through the tops of the feet, so there's a little activity in the back of the thighs and the back of the hips. We've got about 5 more breaths here. Coming back up onto hands and knees, press through the tops of the feet as you bend the elbows, drop the hips to the earth, drop the heart to the earth, and drop the head to the earth. Once you arrive, you can make a pillow with your head here. Let the toes draw towards each other, let the heels knock out to the side, and then wiggle your hips from left to right. Softening all of the tissue in the torso, softening any gripping in the glutes and any gripping across the back strap muscles. After a few moments of rocking from side to side, pause in stillness and breathe deep into the belly now, so that as you inhale, it's the navel that expands in all directions. And as you exhale, we feel the back body soften towards the earth. Belly expands as we inhale. Notice the hips soften and spread with that belly breath. And then gentle exhale, softening muscle to bone and bone to earth. 3 more deep belly breaths here. Using the hands by the sides, press back up onto hands and knees. Root Kriya. Draw the knees to touch. Tops of the feet root against the earth. Gentle recruitment of the abdominals, and we start to pivot or drop the weight of the hips from left to right. Root through the hands or fingertips, wherever you're working today. Gently draw the navel to the spine as you drop your hips from side to side. Root through the tops of the feet. And notice how this sends the sits bones. As you push through the tops of the feet, the sits bones start to connect with the hamstrings deep in the back body. Jawbone and tongue are soft as you work. A few more breaths. Come to neutral in the hips, blocks at the second height on either side of the mat. We'll step the left foot forward, low lunge. Now if you don't have blocks, you can work on fingertips here. Press through the top of the back foot as you pull the weight of the hips forward. Heart is lifted. Just enough recruitment in the abdominals to support the spine here. And then curl through the back toes. Lift that leg for runner's lunge. Right hand stays committed to something solid. Left hand peels open into a twist. And lean back in space here. Two more breaths. Hands committed back to props or the earth. Drop your back knee, and we'll switch sides. Left knee steps back. Top of the foot roots down. Right foot steps forward. Pull all the weight forward in the pelvis, pressing through the top of the back foot, waking up the inner thigh, waking up the hip pocket and the quad spaces. And then curl through those back toes. Lift the knee off the mat, runner's lunge. Left hand stays committed to something solid. Right hand peels open into your twist. Find some freedom across the heart. Hands hit the mat, drop the back knee to the earth. Right knee meets the left knee. Curl through the toes. Listen up. Knee down, upward dog. Send the weight of the hips forward. You can bend the elbows a little bit for comfort in the low back. Stacking the shoulders over the hips. Gently hug the ankles towards each other. You'll feel the glutes light up. 3 more breaths. If it's in your body, feel free to take an alternate variation of upward dog. And then puppy pose is where we meet. Curl through the toes, pull the hips to the heels. Hands or the wrists stay up on your props. If you don't have blocks, use fingertips and melt the heart and your forehead to the earth. One more big breath in and out in your puppy pose. From hands and knees, we'll step forward. You can move through downward facing dog if you'd like, and we'll meet at the top of the mat. Feet are hip width apart. Bend the knees. Wrap your hands around the calf muscles and gently hug the elbows into your legs. Imagine squeezing a block between the thighs, root through the heels, watch the hamstrings wake up. Hands slide to the hips, top of the head leads us all the way to stand. High lunge, step the right leg way back, pop up onto the toes. Front knees over the ankle and then push through the front heel. So in both of the legs, the upper legs are super active here. Draw the hands to touch, set the thumbs right at the base of the breastplate and push the thumbs into the breastplate and the breastplate back into the thumbs. So we're pushing forward and up. Drop the tops of the shoulders out of the ears here. Three more breaths. Hands to blocks or fingertips to the earth. Straighten out the front leg. I'm still up on the back toes. If you need to hop the leg in a bit, feel free to do so. And do everything you can to root or push down through that front heel. Right hand stays committed to something solid. Left side body peels open. Revolve triangle variation. Breathe into the outer hip. Keep hugging the inner thighs together. 3 more breaths. Hands committed to something solid. Back leg picks up off the mat. Standing split variation. For today, bend your top leg, pull the heel to the sits bone, and then open up the hip. I'm flexing the foot, that's more comfortable in my body, but see if you can fire hydrant, open the right hip. Get that knee as high as you can, breathing through the pelvic floor. Option to fold more deeply, walk one or both hands around the calf muscle of your standing leg. 3 more breaths. Right foot meets left foot, hip width apart, bend the knees, root through the heels, and roll up to stand. Big breath in, full breath out. High lunge, right leg steps back. That's left leg steps back. Root through the front heel and pop up onto the back toes. Legs are active here, so we're stabilizing the hips. Hands come to heart, thumbs meet the base of the breastplate at the xiphoid process and push or lift the breastplate into the thumbs. So the heart is buoyant. It draws out of the hips. Three more breaths. Hands hit the blocks or fingertips to the earth. Lengthen through the right leg. Push through the heel. Resist the urge to lock out in the knee. You certainly can hop the back foot in and plant the heel down for more support. Left hand stays committed to something solid. Right arm peels open. Revolve triangle variation. Keep smoothing out the breath. something solid, standing split variation. Shift the weight into the right leg. Lift the left leg behind you. For today's purposes, bend the knee, pull the heel towards the sits bone, and then try to open up the hip, stacking left hip over right. From the knee, lifting as high as possible. Optional walk one or both hands around your standing leg. Three more breaths. Left foot meets right foot, top of the mat, hip width apart. Bend the knees, push through the heels, and roll to stand. Reach for the heavens now. Grab your right wrist and lean over to the left. Root powerfully through the left heel, creating as much space as possible on the right seam of your body, from the hip to the armpit. Switch sides. Left side body stretch. And then come to neutral. Release the arms, roll the shoulders up and out of the ears. Okay, shift the weight into the left foot. Right foot steps up onto your prop. So Pam, you can have your right foot on the earth, or you can choose to balance on your towels here. Bending both knees, hug the inner thighs together and really sink into your standing leg heel. So again, you'll feel like the sits bones try to tuck and connect to the hamstrings. Left arm under right arm for eagle pose. Backs of the arms travel to touch. Palms can interact if that's available for your wrists. Hug the thighs together. Press powerfully through both feet. Float the heart out of the hips. 3 more breaths. Unravel the arms, reaching up and out, palms flip wide. Figure 4, standing figure 4. Stack the right ankle over the left thigh. Continue to sit back in space, and then you can draw your hands to your joints, foot and knee, or slide the fingertips towards blocks or the earth. I'm flexing the right foot. That's more comfortable in my knee joint. Decide if that's your ideal integration. Root through that standing leg, 3 more breaths. Left side block slides up to the highest height or fingertips on the earth. Ardha Chandrasana, half moon. Peel that right leg up and out, stacking at the hips. Find as much length as you can from hips to armpits. Right side body might peel open. 3 more breaths. Low lunge, right leg steps way back, knee hits the earth. Flip both blocks down to the medium height. Listen up, so I'll remove the block so you can see. Heel toe the left foot over, so the heel of the foot presses against the block or your hand if you're using no props. And then your left knee lowers down onto your block. Pigeon variation. Left hand, you can have fingertips on the earth here, or hand to thigh. So you're pushing through both props. You can create a little more intensity or a deeper stretch by taking your right knee and shifting your weight a little further back. So I'm inchworming the right leg further away from the heart. Stay upright, keep breathing. Shifting onto hands and knees, we'll slide the right leg back. Saddle pose, spread the knees wide, toes come to touch, and shift the weight towards the heels. Option to be on fingertips or hands to props. Fuller expression, we walk up to seated in a deeper saddle pose now. So the sits bones are connected to the heels here. If you're in a seated variation, take a spinal twist each direction for 3 breaths. We'll meet standing, shifting the weight onto hands and knees. Option to work through downward facing dog. And we'll walk to the top of the mat. Once you arrive, feet are hip width apart. Bend the knees, root through the heels, and make your way to stand. Shifting the weight into the right leg, eagle variation. Left foot hits your prop up onto the toes. Bend both knees so that the thighs are hugging together. Root through your standing heels. So there's a little bit of activity in the back body. I'm pulling the hips back in space. Tail feathers are still reaching, trying to connect with the hamstrings. Right arm under left, eagle arms. Backs of the hands travel to touch or take the bind if you have it. Use the breath to puff up in the back body. Hug the inner thighs together. Root through the standing heel. 3 more breaths. Unravel the arms, reach up and out, palms flip up. Standing figure 4 pose, hooking left ankle over right thigh. I'm choosing to flex the foot as I sit back in space. Root through the standing heel here, and then option to release hands to blocks, hands to your joints, ankle and knee, or fingertips to the earth. Find a fullness and a buoyancy in the breath. Right block flips up to the highest height or fingertips to the earth. Ardha Chandrasana, half moon. Kick that left leg behind you, ankles at the height of the hip. Try to stack the hips here. Left over right. Root through the standing heel. Left side body peels open. Create as much length between the heart and the hips as possible. 3 more breaths. Step that leg way back. Drop the knee to the earth. Blocks are at medium height. Heel toe your right foot over to meet the block. So the flat of the foot presses against the block. And then drop your right knee onto the right side block, pigeon variation. Right fingertips can be on the earth or up on your thigh. We stay upright. And if you want a little more intensity, use those back toes to walk that left knee further away from the heart and the hips. Root the foot, front foot through the block. Waking up the deep hip. Three more breaths. Stepping back to knees, saddle pose, knees step wide, feet come to touch. Option 1, settle into the heels, hands stay on your blocks. Option 2, walk up to seated, deep into the heels here. If you're seated, spinal twist each direction for 3 breaths. Knees come to touch. Slide your props to the height of your knees here. So pull them back to the midline of the mat or use fingertips. Press through the tops of the feet. Press palms against something solid. Take a big breath in. As you exhale, push off the prop. Lift the knees as high as you can. Puff up the back of the body. Drop the knees. Take an inhale and an exhale. Inhale to prepare. Exhale fully. Press palms into the props. Press through the tops of the feet. Float the knees off the mat. There's no breath here as the shoulder blades spread wide. Drop the knees. Take a breath in and take a breath out. If you're able to float the feet on the 3rd round, go for it. Inhale to prepare. Exhale, press through the earth. Lift the knees. Optional, lift the feet. That's a pipe dream for me today. And then release the legs when you're ready to breathe. Slide the blocks further forward. We all take downward facing dog now. Hands on the props or fingertips on the earth if you're working without props today. Feel that relief in the back of the knees and do what you can to carve out some space between the hip bone and the belly. Put another way, can you lift and spread your sits bones so there's some air and space in your hip pockets? 3 more breaths here. And then walk to the top of your mat. Yogi squat, feet come to either side of your blocks. Option to slide one of the blocks underneath you so that you sit on something solid. I'm going to choose that variation today so I can keep talking while we're in practice together. Inner thighs press against the arms, arms press against the inner thighs. If you're not seated on a block, make sure that you're rooting through the feet. So you're not just sitting in the ball and socket joint of the hips. You feel like there's muscular support by rooting through the feet. We feel muscles wrap over bones. There's activity here. Left hand hits the mat. Right side body peels open. So the hips are parallel to the earth and the twist comes out of the region of the heart. We'll switch sides. Right hand comes to the mat. Left side body peels open. Unravel from the twist, standing forward fold. Both blocks return to the top of the mat. Heel toe the feet to parallel, hip width apart. Hands to hips, top of the head leads you all the way to stance. Take a moment here to adjust as necessary. All right, let's do that sequence again. Shifting the weight into the left foot. Right foot comes up onto the block, medium height. Bend both knees so that you can hug the thighs together and really root through that back heel. You'll notice the tail feathers start to connect to the hamstrings. Right elbow under left, eagle arms, back of the arms travel to touch. Palms connect if that's an option. Now start to round in the upper back. See if you can connect the elbows to the top of the thigh. I'm pulling the navel in and up and using the breath to carbonate the back body. Standing up, unravel the arms. Standing figure four pose, hook right ankle over left thigh. Bend the knees again. Hands either come to the heart, lifting through the breastplate, or fingertips to the props. Option to take one or both hands around the standing ankle for the balance challenge. Sit low as you can. Hands return to fingertips or the props. Step the right leg way back. We skip half moon on this round. Drop the back knee to the earth, and let's return to pigeon variation. Heel toe the left foot, let it connect with the right side block. And then bend that knee deeply, laying that thigh and the knee on the prop. You can make this a little more intense by heel toeing that back knee further away from the pelvis. Three more breaths. Working our way to standing, left foot slides flat to the mat. Straighten out both legs. So if you need to hop that back leg in a little for support, that's fine. Right hand stays committed to something solid. Left side body peels open. Revolve triangle variation. Telescope the heart out of the hips. 3 more breaths. Hands hit something solid. Left foot stays where it is. Bend the front knee. Step the back foot and hook at the ankles. Squeeze the thighs and come all the way to stand. Dancing Shiva. Reach for the heavens. Grab your left wrist. You bend both knees now, much like an eagle pose, and then lean over to the right. So we're creating as much space as we can between the left hip and the lowest ribs. One more breath cycle. And then stand tall and exit. Release the hands, step the feet to hip width apart, and roll the shoulders out of the ears. Take a breath. Settle your attention back into the pelvic bowl. Honoring an attitude of creativity, expansive emotional landscape, honoring what is inherently feminine, that Shakti energy. All right, let's do the other side, shifting the weight into the right foot. Left foot comes up onto your prop. Bend both knees for eagle. Squeeze the thighs together. Right arm under left, eagle arms. Now pull the weight into your standing heel. This will shift the tail feathers underneath you as if the sits bones are trying to connect to the hamstrings. Squeeze the thighs together and use the breath to carbonate the back body. Three more breath cycles. Unravel from the arms, reach out and up, stand tall. Standing figure four pose, hook left ankle over right thigh, and then bend the knees. Draw the hands towards the heart, so either press up through the thumbs into the breastplate, or fold more deeply, fingertips to props, or one or both hands to the ankle for the balance challenge. Three more breath cycles. Hands to the props, step the left leg way back. We skip half moon on this round. Drop your back knee to the earth, pigeon variation. Heel toe that right foot over to the left so the base of the foot pushes into your block. And then drop your right knee and right thigh down onto the right side block. Right fingertips can be on the earth for support or your thigh. Option to use that back foot and slide the knee further away from the heart. Continue to cultivate the breath. Three more rounds, slow and steady. Pull the hips back so you can slide onto the right foot. Lengthen both legs now. Option to hop that back leg in a little for support. So the right foot is over on the left side of the mat still. Left hand stays committed to something solid. Right side body peels open. Revolve triangle variation. Do what you can to telescope the heart out of the hips. Three more breaths. Hands hit the prop. Step your back foot behind your front foot. Hug in the thighs and come all the way to stand. Dancing Shiva, reach for the heavens, grab your right wrist, bend both knees now, squeezing through the legs, and then lean over to the left, creating as much space as you can between the right side hip and the right ribs. Three more breaths. Stand tall, step your feet hip width apart. Release the arms, roll the shoulders out of the ears, and settle your attention back into the pelvic bowl. Take a gentle breath in and a full breath out. Making our way to the mat, reach for the heavens, big breath in. Option to bend the knees as you fold all the way down. Hands on your props, step back to plank. Option to drop the knees. We move to upward facing dog. Hips pull forward, a little bend in the elbows so there's buoyancy in the heart. Hug the inner thighs towards each other. 3 more breaths. Saddle pose. Tips of the toes come to touch. We sit back into the heels. Fullest expression, we're upright. If that's too much pressure on the knees, drop the forearms in front of you on the earth. If you're fully upright, spinal twist each direction, 3 breaths. Last round. And then come back around, moving on to hands and knees. Okay, last round of these lifts. You can slide those blocks back to the level of the knees. The lower the blocks are, the more intense this Kriya is. So do your best. You can also level up by fingertips or hands on the ground without the blocks. Press the hands into the blocks. Feet stay down. Take a big breath in. As you exhale, root through the blocks. Lift the knees as high as you can. No breath. Release the knees. Take an inhale and an exhale. Second round. Plant the hands. Take a breath in to prepare. Exhale through the mouth, root through the hands, lift the knees as high as you can, float the feet if you can do it. Release the legs, take a breath in, and take a breath out. Final round, inhale to prepare. Exhale through the mouth, root the hands, lift the knees, press the floor away. And then release. Dandasana, staff pose. Shift the weight onto one side so you can slide the feet in front of you. Sitting up nice and tall, flex the feet. So legs can be as wide or as narrow as feels comfortable. If the hamstrings are tight or sitting upright feels a bit challenging, slide the hands in front of you for support. And then bend your knees to whatever level makes seated a more comfortable proposition. Now really recruit the thigh muscles, even if the knees are bent, and try to root or press heavy all the muscles down into the earth. And then hinging from the hips now, we forward fold. So the goal's not to be able to touch the feet. The goal is to recruit all the muscles of the legs so we get a hamstring stretch without any tugging or pulling on the back strap muscles. 3 more breaths here. Sitting nice and upright, Tar Asana, feet come to touch, knees open like bookends, and the feet are as far away from the pelvis as possible. You can round through the spine now as you take your forward fold. I like to massage the feet while I'm here. breath cycles. And then we'll meet in supported fish. You take one of your props behind the base of the shoulder blades, so essentially where the bra strap is, and one block behind the head at any height. So variation 1 is continuing with butterfly legs. Feet come to touch, knees open like bookends. If you have a little more flexibility, we do Vajrasana. Knees come to touch, feet on the outside of the hips. So of course this is a bigger proposition for the knees. Make your decision with your legs. And then we roll back. One block underneath the shoulder blades at the height of the bra strap, and one block to support the head and the neck. Arms take any shape, and settle your attention back into the hips. Honoring the creative energy, an expansive emotional experience, acknowledging what is inherently feminine in nature, the Shakti energy. Five final breaths. You might reach the arms up and over the crown of the head, interlace the fingers, and pull the heart deeper out of the hips. Now to exit, we recruit the abdominals. Tuck the chin, take the block from behind the head into the hands, and then squeeze that block as you slowly make your way upright. If you're in Vajrasana legs, you'll want a downward facing dog to release. If you were in butterfly legs, plant the feet on the mat as wide as the sticky mat. Drop your knees from side to side. Got about 8 breaths of time to transition. If you're in downward facing dog, pull the hips deeply to the right for a few breaths, and then deeply to the left for a few breaths. We'll all meet seated. Sukhasana, if that's the variation that's available, just crisscross of the ankles. Or Padmasana, if lotus is available. Once you arrive, close down the eyes. Just like we started, internally, think about drawing the heart over the hips. And then drop all of your attention deep into the pelvic bowl, acknowledging the right hip and the left hip, the pubic bone at the front side, the sacrum at the back side. And then all the internal soft tissue. Notice what's vibrating here. Draw the hands to touch, Anjali Mudra. Slide the thumbs into the base of the breastplate and lift the heart up to meet the thumbs. Honoring the energy of the hips, the creative energy, the full spectrum emotional experience. What is inherently feminine, wisdom, intuition, the Shakti energy. Let this be our muse for today, walking forth in power and light. Peace be with you in the company you keep. Blessed be, and namaste.